Hello, welcome back. Downing Street has said there are no plans to introduce further safe and legal routes for asylum seekers coming to the UK.
Well, this comes after a Number 10 spokesperson said we already have a number of safe and legal routes, and the priority is making sure we have a fit and functioning asylum system.
But with the Home Office revealing on Saturday that mega figure, 801 illegal migrants crossing the English Channel, a record number since Labour came into power, in fact. Should we introduce safe and legal routes to the UK for those seeking asylum?
Well, to debate this morning, we're joined by the director of the Sanctuary Foundation, Dr Krish Kandiah, and content lead at Migration Central, Charlie Downs. Good morning to you both. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Dr Kandiah, if we could start with you, put your case to us, because there will be people watching and listening this morning going, for goodness sake, these people who are crossing the English Channel are already in a safe country. We have no duty to provide asylum to everybody that is in a country of crisis. Otherwise, we would frankly be overwhelmed.
Well, we don't need to provide safety to everybody that's seeking asylum, but we can provide safety to some. I use my family as an example. We are a fostering family. We have a lovely family, 6 children. But if social services would need us to take another one, our hearts are set to say, yes, we can take more. But we can't take 1,000 children. That would be inappropriate. So we have what I would describe as compassion and control. And I think we can have the same. We can have strong borders. We can go after the criminal gangs. But I think it is appropriate for us to offer sanctuary to some people that need it. Normally, it will be people who have a family connection here. The safe and legal routes will help to stop the boats crossing the channel, where we're seeing too many people die. For example, in Ukraine, nobody got on a small boat to come to the UK. They were able to apply for a visa in their country, escape the war, get on a plane and arrive safely in the United Kingdom. We manage as a country to be incredibly generous. 200,000 Ukrainians have found sanctuary here. I think we should be able to offer that to a limited number of people from other countries who have a valid reason for being here with us.
OK, Charlie, what's your response to that?
I'd say if times were better, I would completely agree. But I don't think the UK is currently in a position to be spending more money on what ultimately amounts to an additional scheme on top of the essential services that the government offers. The UK government spends billions.
Oh, we've just lost your sound there.
Oh.
There you go. You're back.
You're back. I think it's something they said. Repeat that sentence. Sorry,
right.
Charlie, we just lost you there. The UK government, you were saying.
The UK government spends, billions of pounds every year, about a budget of about £4 billion on its asylum system. And if times were better, if the economy was doing better, if people, ordinary people were doing better, then I would be saying that perhaps we should be thinking about opening up more safe and legal routes, because any sensible and self-respecting first world country does feel a certain sense of duty to help those less fortunate than ourselves. But the fact of the matter is the UK is not in a position to do that right now. We are in a very bad place economically, socially, culturally, politically. And I don't think we can really offer the kind of, I don't think we're a safe country. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. I don't think we're a safe country for refugees to be settled in, because we can't even protect our own children from being stabbed by criminals who shouldn't be here in the first place.
Are you saying then that the Ukrainians that Dr Krish Kandiah was just talking about, the 200,000 of whom came and sought refuge here legally, shouldn't have come because we don't have room and it's not a safe country? I mean, it doesn't add up, does it?
Ultimately, yes, that is what I'm saying, because as nice as it is, the thought of being able to help those less fortunate is very nice, and it's very noble.
People opened up their own homes. People found space within their own homes to house Ukrainians, many of whom are still living with them. People found space within, so it's not for you necessarily to judge that, is it? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Krish Kandiah? And if I can expand that question a little bit, why is it that we had room to legally accept people from Ukraine, but, for example, we saw that among those who drowned at the weekend trying to cross the Channel were people coming from Afghanistan, where we know the Taliban are brutally imposing draconian, horrendous laws there, not least on women. Why is it OK for Ukraine and not Afghans? Is this actually about the colour of their skin?
I think that's a very valid question, Isabel, and it has something to do with the UK's strategic interests, apparently, because I've asked the Home Office and other government officials about this. I've got friends who would like to get friends and family out of Sudan, where there's a genocide going on. I think, to answer Charlie's question as well, that the Homes for Ukraine scheme was incredibly cheap. The reason that our asylum system costs so much is because we've been putting people into hotels. Hotels are not good for anybody, not for our government treasury, but also not good for the mental health of people who would like to have a front door of their own, to be able to work and pay their own way and not feel kind of ghettoized in a hotel. So the Homes for Ukraine scheme allowed members of the public to host people in their homes, which is a massive saving. So I think we can get rid of that huge immigration and asylum bill by thinking more creatively about accommodation and allowing asylum seekers and refugees to work.
Charlie, on the Ukraine topic, there are some people who argue that we shouldn't have even been taking refugees from there either. The population of the UK is 70 million. We're a tiny island. When you compare it to the likes of, say, Australia, a population of 26 million, and it's about, how big is it compared to the UK? About 32 times bigger. There just isn't simply the space. Why is it the UK who needs to act as the final destination for the world's needy when we've got so many of our own problems?
I would ask the very same question to those people who are advocating that we open up more safe and legal routes to asylum. Why should it be us, this tiny island, that takes these people when we're already so economically struggling? Something else I would add is the Afghan resettlement scheme cost the taxpayer £500 million. This is not just pennies, this is significant money. So how much more would have needed to have been spent for that to be successful, for Afghans not to cross the channel in small boats? Why was that not good enough?
Dr. Krish Kandaya, do you want to pick up on that? I mean, we have the 6th largest economy in the world, and Charlie says we're not wealthy enough to support these countries and these people.
Well, I think Charlie said it earlier. We are a first world economy. We can play our part. If you think about the Ukraine crisis, we took 200,000, which was incredibly generous, but nowhere near what Romania and Poland and even Moldova have done. So often refugees will want to stay relatively close to the country they've left. Often that's about family connections and language. We are not taking the bulk of the refugees. That was true also in Sudan. We've taken none, but Egypt has taken a huge number of refugees from Sudan because people like to stay local. So again, it's about playing our part and not thinking of ourselves as Little Britain, but Great Britain. We have a great tradition of hospitality and kindness, one of the best moments in our history. In fact, they build bronze statues to celebrate it, was the Kindertransport, where we received 10,000 Jewish children fleeing from the Nazis. We need to play our part as a global nation and not just retreat into an island mentality.
Yeah, well, indeed. We have a great history. We are very generous, as you've said, but we still get called racists and bigots for raising minute concerns about illegal migration. So it seems we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But thank you both for joining us this morning. Dr. Krish Kandaya, OBE, Director of Sanctuary Foundation.
I think one of the big advantages, if there were more legal or any safe and legal routes opened up, would be that there wouldn't be this conflation between these people who are here basically queue jumping to get into the country and getting sort of access to all of our benefits and everything else ahead of British citizens, with those people who are actually fleeing things like the Taliban, and actually it would enable us to have a proper conversation about it, because absolutely nobody should be able to queue jump. I think everybody can agree on those people who are fit, young and healthy and coming from safe countries. There's no room.
Yeah, you get legal migrants here, for example, the Poles who have been here for a while, families of Polish people who raise similar concerns about illegal migration because, as you said, they say, well, hang on a minute, I've worked hard to come here legally, I've done all the paperwork, I've done things by the book, and yet we have... Yeah, so...
Let us know your thoughts this morning. It's a good and interesting debate to have. gbnews.com/yoursay.